Hey there, everyone. My name is Brendan, and welcome back to another cryptocurrency market update. And there's a lot going on in the crypto space at the moment. I mean, we literally just saw the Ethereum spot ETFs begin trading just a few short days ago. And since this has happened, we saw the crypto market actually have quite a solid pullback across the board. Now, everyone's main questions here are, why did this happen, and is this something to be concerned about? And those are the questions that I want to answer in today's market update, as well as just bringing everyone up to speed on what in the world happened in the first place. So if that does sound interesting, make sure you stick around for the entire length of the video, as we do have important information discussed the entire way through. But it really all starts with a couple of different catalysts. And there's three catalysts that I want to talk about as we work our way through this market update. So the obvious one here, the big one, is the Ethereum ETFs. We talked about it on this channel. We talked about it on our other channels like Crypt Nation and the Crypto 101 podcast. Shout out to those. Go ahead and check them out if you want more content. But what happened here with the Ethereum ETFs, specifically the spot Ethereum ETFs in the States, is that there was quite a large sell-off from one of these ETF providers. Now, if this seems like a little bit of deja vu, you would be correct, because we saw something very similar happen back during the Bitcoin ETF approvals right around January 11th. And so what happened here is that the Bitcoin spot ETFs got approved. We saw a slight pump, some positive price action, and then we saw about a 21% pullback in about a 2-week window. Now, this brought Bitcoin's price from $50,000 down to around $38,000. And this was because one entity by the name of Grayscale was having just tremendous amounts of outflows. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars worth of outflows, which we can take a look at in just a second. So now Grayscale, amongst all the other ETF providers, Fidelity, BlackRock, Bitwise, VanEck, 21 Shares, all these other ones, Grayscale is once again having a lot of outflows. And we're going to take a look at just how much they're losing. But what we saw here is that actually the first day of the ETFs were really good. They net over $100 million in inflows on the first day, hence why we saw a little bit of a pump. And the total trading volume exceeded over $1 billion, which is a tremendous number. And it's actually larger than a lot of analysts were predicting. People were kind of predicting that it would do roughly around 30 to 35% of what Bitcoin did on the first day. And I believe it ended up doing around half of what Bitcoin did, or was on pace to do that. So it was outpacing in terms of like volumes and inflows that people were expecting. A great sign. The problems started to come on days 2 and 3. We're recording this here on a Friday, so Wednesday and Thursday. And Grayscale started to see the outflows really kind of continue. Now, the reason why this is happening is because people have been locked up in their Grayscale Ethereum ETF for likely years now, and this is going to be their first opportunity to sell because they haven't been able to exit up until this ETF went live a few days ago. Now, with this, there's headlines circulating around just like this one saying, hey, at this rate, Grayscale's Ethereum ETF could run out of Ethereum within just a few short weeks. And this is right, because if we look at how much they're having in outflows, listen to this. Grayscale's converted ETH spot Ethereum ETF has experienced a substantial amount of net outflows in the first few days of trading, totaling $1.2 billion, which is a lot. And as we actually go down over here, we can see that on day one, they had around $500 million in outflows on I believe this was around day one. Yeah. And then day 2 was another 320 million. And then we still had day 3. Now we're working on day 4. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. And so we can see that Grayscale's assets under management from their Ethereum, from one of their Ethereum ETFs, has gone from $11.1 billion last month to where it's currently at, which I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring us in here, where it's currently at $7.79 billion. So just a few days ago, it was over $10.2 billion. Now it's down to $7.79 billion. So they're having billions of dollars leave their assets under management from their Ethereum ETF. And if this continues, we're right. I mean, the block is right, and a lot of analysts are right that if this continues at the same pace, they're going to run out of Ethereum within a few short weeks. Within just a few short days, within about 1 week, they are losing about $2 billion in AUM, almost about 1.5. And if they keep this up for another month or two, then they're out, which they very, very much don't want to do. Now, we saw this happen with the Ethereum ETF, and again, sorry for the longer explanation, but we saw this happen with the Ethereum, or with the Bitcoin ETF, and Grayscale lost about, I think, roughly around 50 to 60% of their Bitcoin AUM. Their Bitcoin, Ethereum, or their Bitcoin ETF in terms of assets under management there. They lost about 50 to 60% of that, which is a lot for an asset manager. That's something that you don't want to see anyone lose in a period of years, let alone a period of like 6 months. So when we're looking at this, they've already started to pivot and say, hey, we're actually going to be creating an Ethereum mini ETF, which is going to have 1/10 of the fees. So they're going to try to preserve people there and prevent the outflows. We'll see if it works. This is catalyst number 1. Catalyst number 2 here is Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox has been really just starting the process and beginning here of paying back their creditors as of yesterday. So if you're looking at why the crypto market took a dump on Thursday, July 25th, well, part of it is due to what's happening with Mt. Gox. Now, if you're not familiar with Mt. Gox, they are a Bitcoin exchange from way back in the day, around 2014, that went under, and people lost a lot of money inside of this. Now, that Bitcoin that they lost has since been mostly recovered, and it's been appreciating very well in value, as you can imagine, since 2014. So when people get that Bitcoin back from 2014, 10 years later, they're up all this in profits, maybe they need the money for something else, that is, very likely a sell scenario for a lot of these people. So a lot of these Mt. Gox people thought this was lost money. All of a sudden they get it, kind of hitting their accounts, and boom, they are able to sell. A lot of this is just going to be liquidated. Now, the third and final catalyst over here, if we go back to kind of the Bitcoin chart, is actually steer us away from Bitcoin and to NASDAQ. So if we take a quick look at NASDAQ here, and a lot of the traditional markets, they have been getting hammered. Just a few days ago on Wednesday, July 24th, we saw the worst day that NASDAQ has seen since 2022. So in a couple of years, in about a 2-year period. It was a really, really bad day for it. Even if we move this to the hourly chart, we can see that NASDAQ has just been getting destroyed. Now, why does this matter to crypto? Well, NASDAQ's kind of the representation for the tech sector. In periods of high volatility, there tends to be a correlation, and this is most certainly a high volatility period. So it's kind of this perfect storm between Mt. Gox and the Ethereum ETF and the Grayscale outflows. And then you have NASDAQ and the traditional markets just getting hammered and kind of dumping. And it was this perfect storm to cause investors to want to ease off of risk and kind of take a step back here, maybe take some profits, see what happens. And that's one of the big reasons why we saw the crypto markets pulling back across the board. Now, if we fast forward back to the current day and kind of look at where we're at, NASDAQ's recovering here. Bitcoin is recovering here, almost about to break out to a new local high. Ethereum's recovering. Solana's another one that's trying to recontest its local high. I mean, this thing's up 5.5% on the day. Bitcoin's up almost 3%. We have tons of altcoins that are up double digits, such as Render and a handful of others. And the crypto market's looking pretty good over here. So despite all of this happening, I think some of the big takeaways from all of this is that some of these other ETFs are actually eating these Grayscale buys. One of the notable names that they talk about over here is that Bitwise, Fidelity, and BlackRock are eating a lot of the Grayscale outflows. Now, again, they're having quite a bit of outflows, but if we go back to these charts, we can see that they're eating a solid amount of them. Not all of them. Well, it depends on the day. But you get the picture that I'm painting here. Eventually, the Ethereum ETF outflows from Grayscale have to ease, or else they're going to run out of assets under management. And when it does ease, the inflows will have the opportunity to really rebound price and send things in an upwards direction. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's happening in the crypto market over here. If you're a little bit scared by this dip that we just kind of had, I think it's understandable, but I don't think it's anything, at least not for me, that I'm too concerned about over here. There is a lot of really fundamentally positive stuff that is still happening. And the way that this market has been bought back up in the last 2 days, seeing how Bitcoin has bounced off of $63,000 all the way back up about 7% in a 2-day window, alongside a lot of these altcoins, is a good sign. You know, the market is eating any kind of sell pressure that it has here. The people are eager for a dip, and they're willing to buy this thing up. So that's going to go ahead and round us off for today's video. If you want more market updates just like this one, and you want to get plugged into a great crypto community, then check out our links in the description down below. We got Crypt Nation, which is a great place for anyone that wants to get plugged into a crypto community. We also have our other YouTube channel, which is the Crypto 101 Podcast YouTube channel. We got all sorts of tutorials and market updates and podcasts and all sorts of other stuff that go live on there as well. So thank you all for watching. We hope all of you enjoyed this week's market update. And we're going to be back at the same time, same place next week with some more content for all of you.